Oh, and Evan's sound is gone. What a way to start the show. Welcome back to another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, where we
Is
have
it
good
actually?
conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk, but I just heard you there. So we are saved by the bell. So I don't know what happened, but who knows? You're back. So I did the intro. Nailed it. Yes.
It wasn't bad. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, buddy. Cheers.
One day we're going to get canceled, I swear.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
At least it will be for razzing on each other and not other people. So that'll be good. I'm excited for this week's show. We've got on two guests that we've known for a while now. We've had some lengthy conversations with them. I've been following their email newsletter for a long time, their posts that they've been putting out on social. The analytics that they have is absolutely phenomenal. What they are able to do with data and make data-driven decisions in today's day and age around marketing is absolutely phenomenal. I'm so stoked to have these guys on. So we've got on Kevin, LeSage and Jon Torrey of Searchlight Digital, essentially delivering revenue-based decisions back to your business and revenue-based analytics back to your business. Because wouldn't it be great for you to be able to know how much revenue was actually generated from the leads that are generated from your marketing company? It's long been something that we've been excited about to deliver for our clients. It's been something that I know I've watched them do for a long time, and friends of ours as well within the marketing space have been using them for a while. So I am stoked to get into some of the amazing analytics that they've been able to uncover in the last year, because shit's changed a lot since COVID when it's come to the trades and what's happened within search data. And these guys have had the answers all along the way, and the email marketing newsletters that they put out have been absolutely phenomenal to follow along. And I've been using it in terms of a resource when we're talking with our own clientele. So I'm stoked for this conversation today.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know we demoed their platform a little while ago, and we're just waiting for that one last piece, for our platform on our back end, and, looking at getting some of that in there. So super excited, super knowledgeable, great conversations coming up. But today's show would not be possible without our sponsors, CHIIRP, RealTime 360, onpurposemedia.ca. In no particular order, RealTime 360.
Are you tired of juggling your marketing tools and agencies owning all of your logins? Say goodbye to the frustration and take control of your marketing with RealTime 360. You can streamline your reviews, automate your social media, engage your customers with live chat, and more importantly, track all of your success and all of your reporting in one place. Join the revolution and power your success with RealTime 360. You can go check them out at realtime360.io.
Perfect. And CHIIRP, who, by the way, these guys are really integrated into a deep connection with CHIIRP to be able to see some of the analytical data on the back end, even from text messages. I love CHIIRP. They got a phenomenal platform out of the box. Their front end, they help out on the automations toolbox of capturing your data in for your clients with email campaigns, text messages, ringless voicemails, etc. Be like Dave. Dave signed up. He actually earned $40,000 in revenue within his first 2 weeks of joining in with CHIIRP. Cassie signed up. She added $80,000 worth of revenue within her first month. But of course, if you actually use our link, you can get 25% off your first 3 months. CHIIRP.com/HSSR.
And without further ado, Kevin and Jon.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Love the intro. I love the energy. It's awesome. So happy to be here.
Awesome.
How are we doing, guys?
Welcome. Cheers. If you're drinking. If
I
not,
know. I'm
water
out.
That's just us. It's all good. Jon, Kevin, welcome. So excited to have you guys on here and to unpack some of the things that you've been seeing within the trades within the last couple of years that you've been doing this. It's like I said, I've been following the newsletter for a while now, and I absolutely love the information that you put out every single month, whether it's the text message data that you pull from CHIIRP, whether it's the search data that you pull on the SEO side of things or on the PPC side of things. Everything has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's been incredibly enlightening as we're having conversations with clients, and been a strong resource for us. So thank you first and foremost for the stuff that you do and what it is that you put out.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us here today. We're excited to talk about it, dive into details, answer questions. We're not here to hide from anything, right? So this should be a fun chat.
Love it. Well, let's start with the journey. How did you get here?
Yeah, appreciate it. So Jon, myself, and a lot of the team, we have a large background in automotive. And I like to share this story pretty quickly that, my dad owns a small plumbing company. My aunt married a guy that owns an HVAC company. So every time I went home to Connecticut for the holidays over the years, it was always spent arguing about plumbing, HVAC, digital marketing, what they should or shouldn't be doing. And at the same time, Searchlight was early on getting started as an ad agency. And what we really uncovered was just that, you can spend a lot of money on advertising, and you can pull up Google Analytics, and you can try to show the click volume, you can show the cost per conversion, impressions. But my dad's a real old school guy, right? He's been plumbing for 40 years. He doesn't know what a CRM is. He's like a handshake guy. So to try to tell someone old school, like an old school plumber, that, you got to invest in this and how it all works, he always told me it's a bunch of BS, Kev. Like, I always wanted to invest in his business and grow it, and he just didn't see it. He always told me a simple philosophy that kind of became the foundation of Searchlight, which is, I want to know I spend X and earn Y, right? You don't find clicks on a balance sheet. So when we started as an agency, we found the opportunity to move over to analytics, and really kept that voice of my dad in the back of our head that entire time, of just like, you got to make this complex digital marketing industry simple. It has to be in terms that plumbers and HVAC contractors and home service contractors in general understand, right? Sometimes I think digital marketing KPIs were intentionally designed to be confusing. And once you get good at digital marketing, you can make any report look good, right? Dump some money in a branded campaign, turn on broad match and watch it go, right? So for us, it was like, how do we cut past the BS, make this complex industry simple, and really just start measuring dollars? And when you think about it, any HVAC contractor wants are estimates, sold jobs, and closed jobs, right? So we took a team of engineers, all local US based, and we built Searchlight Analytics platform, homegrown, to solve that problem, to simplify digital marketing and actually start measuring dollars and customer revenue, and put it into terms that everyone can understand, right? So Searchlight's working with some contractors that have 2 trucks on the road, and then some of the largest PE-backed groups in the space. Regardless of who the end user is of our dashboard, they're going to understand it, they're going to ask questions, and they're going to realize, if I change this, I'm going to make more money at the end of the month. And that's really all that matters, right? We want to understand what works, what doesn't work, and then invest in that success. And there's so much seasonality in this business, and technology is always changing, and the macroeconomics of everything. Like, it's so critical every week to understand what your customer acquisition costs are, what's driving your highest average ticket. Because to be honest, your lowest cost per click or lowest cost per conversion campaign might not drive a single dollar downstream. So does it really matter if it's the lowest cost per click? Our answer was no. Right? So our dashboard's designed to start at the lead, and then look at, did you get it in the CRM, right? Like, first thing you got to do with a lead is get it in the CRM if you want to make $1. Then we can look at, is it turning into paying customers? We can average things out all across your SEO, your SEM, your Facebook, your LSAs, Google My Business, so that you have one platform that's bringing in all of those digital marketing investments, so you can see exactly what's been spent and exactly what's been earned.
A lot of different ways to go. I mean, one of the things that I think is a good starting point, taking digital marketing and making it simple. I don't want to get down the whole of complex digital marketing. More of us to be able to understand a lot of the nuances of what we're talking about. In terms of the KPIs and making it simple and bringing it down to things that matter, what should a digital marketing agency be telling their customers in terms of the KPIs that are really the most relevant?
I could go on this, but I think Jon does a lot of deep consulting with our clients, and he can tell you exactly what the meat on the bone is. So it'd be great if Jon can run with this.
Yeah, I mean the very first thing is your return on ad spend potential, which I think is one of the most overlooked KPIs in this space. And what that effectively does is it looks at all of the dollar opportunity that those marketing campaigns have driven for your business. And it allows you to begin to understand, okay, what is the demand in my market? Are the economics good for what I'm spending? Because everybody's wondering, do I spend more? Do I spend less? Do I have demand in my market for these specific set of channels? But then it's also a great starting point to evaluate how my marketing operations, lead handling, and in-home sales processes are performing. So that's number one is I spent $1,000. How many dollar opportunities did I get from that? Let me start there and make sure it should be in the double digits. It should at least be a 10x. Again, based on different campaigns, it might be a little bit different.
Right.
And then from there, I'm going to compare that metric to my return on ad spend closed. And if that return on ad spend closed, that's closed and completed work, is less than half of my potential, I probably have an internal issue, whether it's not answering the phones, the person who's responsible for answering forms we just let go of. One example we found yesterday with a client is that they turned on the Google LSA message feature. They had 98 messages that were unmatched. One was matched. Nobody was responsible for monitoring the messages coming in to follow up on those leads. And they lost a lot of opportunity. So those are the very first two things that I'm looking at. And then when I go down from there, the third thing I'm looking at is my unsold estimate revenue compared to my sold revenue and my closed revenue. Because the biggest issue that I saw this summer with a lot of the clients that I talked to is they were getting leads hand over fist. There's always a new lead to chase, but that unsold estimate revenue continued to grow and grow. And what we do that's pretty unique is a customer typically gets 3 to 5 estimates when you go in the home: good, better, best, amazing, super amazing. So we take the average of those so we can assign one value per customer to get at a true revenue number for, hey, here's what's in unsold. And for a lot of our clients, that was almost twice as much as their closed revenue. And they're saying, well, we need to spend more on marketing because these leads aren't turning into dollars. The answer there is no. You need to go get CHIIRP, or you need to go make sure that your teams are following up with these leads because you've got $1 million that you've been in the home. You've had contact with that customer. We got to do something. And then I would say number 3, just to keep it to 3, is your customer acquisition cost. I think that's a really important metric to look at because you don't always have to go lower on that. You can get more aggressive in your market. If your average ticket is about $3,000 and you're spending $400, per acquired customer, you might be able to take that to $600 or $700 if and only if your lead operations, your sales follow-up are all dialed in. So a lot of the KPIs we present work together. One affects the other, but it's a pretty simple process. Do you have demand in your market based on what you're spending, where you're spending, how customers are converting on your website? Do you have a lead handling marketing operations issue? Let's dial those in first. Let's focus on the follow-ups, and then we can start to get into some budget increases or adding online scheduling to your website or a chat tool or putting more budget into Bing PPC to try to go after that. There's a lot of different ways to cut it, but that's really what we focus on, are those 3, and then we go into some of the details.
Yeah, I'll elaborate for a sec real quick too on just like return on ad spend potential, right? Because everyone's always focused on like, what's my closed ROAS? But from a marketing perspective, right, on purpose media, your job is to get a qualified lead to that business, right? And get the tech in the house, right? So when we look at ROAS potential, it's adding up all of your open estimates, all of your sold jobs, and all of your closed jobs to give you one view of how everything is performing, right? And shoot, where was I just going with that? Go figure.
It happens to me all the time. Don't worry.
Hey, it's all right.
You don't even have any alcohol.
Right?
So with the estimate though, geez, it'll come back to me in a second here. Oh yeah. So we get the tech in the door, right? And a lot of times we're only looking at the closed revenue. So your marketing worked. It got the tech through the door, right? So a lot of times you'll be getting calls and it's like, I'm not seeing any booked jobs. I'm not seeing any revenue from your business. But it's like, hold on a minute, man. Like Jon just pointed out, we've got over $1 million in open estimates that the marketing did work, right? It got to its point. you might be priced too high, or you might be booked out too far. And that's why they're not closing the job or actually selling it. So when we look at potential, that's one of my favorite numbers because it highlights the effectiveness of your marketing, right? Not just what closed.
Well, it's highlighting the effectiveness of an aspect of the marketing. But like you said, if you're booked out too far, they're not going to show up in that estimated ROAS, correct? Because you said that was open estimates, closed estimates, and sold jobs, correct?
Well, they would show up in the estimate because you would get the tech in the house. They would give you your good, better, best price, right?
Right.
Then you might be like, oh yeah, like the customer needs this job done tomorrow, and you're booked out.
Oh, but our install crew is 2 weeks out. Got it.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now.
Or we're just priced really high, and this guy's like, man, I'm going to go find a better deal.
Right.
So we want to at least be able to highlight that, hey, even if they went to go find that better deal, or you just were, booked out too far, the marketing still worked. It still got you guys that $12,000 estimate. It got you in the house, right?
Right. It's designed to point out holes in the operations, right? It's not just for marketing transparency. It's also for business transparency. And you know what? Probably turning this on ain't necessarily for the faint of heart. If you think you have a great operation and then you turn this on, like, oh fuck, right? But we had who was it? Ryan Redding, and we went in depth on this in the podcast with him. Is that great? Yeah, the marketing is awesome, but then the businesses aren't closing. Well, you can't make that bad business good. But in terms of shedding light from a marketing perspective, and obviously the business is one thing, how does your software poke holes in what a marketing agency may or may not be doing?
Well, I think the fundamental level is to first call out that, like, when we look at what percent of website conversions turn into paying customers, the average there is 25%. Right. And that's like our portfolio wide. So that means 75% of the conversions you get on your website don't lead to dollars. Right. So now the conversation becomes, are the leads that we're getting from our marketing agency bookable? Like, I got a chat for a $12,000 new install, but I didn't get to it fast enough. That's on the business, not on the marketing agency. Right. But if I'm getting 30 form submissions a day from Russia, a bunch of spam, like, of course, that's never going to turn into a paying customer, but it makes that cost per conversion report look really good, right? Because it's still someone filling out a form. So we look at it as, are the leads coming in bookable, like real opportunity for us, or were they non-bookable? And it just someone complaining a text driving too fast on the highway, or someone reaching out asking for a job or to sell you Girl Scout cookies, right? Like, that's just consumer behavior. Nothing we can do about that. They're going to search LeSage Plumbing. They're going to find my Google My Business or a paid ad, branded ad. They're going to click that. They're going to call, or they're going to fill out a form. Any agency reporting or Google Analytics looking at conversion metrics sees that as a conversion, a lead. But it's not. Leads are not created equal, right? So Searchlight is all about measuring what happens after the lead, the impact on your business. And the scary thing too is our portfolio average is around 35% of conversions even make it in the CRM. So 65% of all website conversions coming in never even make it in the CRM. Yet a lot of us are still out there measuring success by cost per conversion or cost per lead, right? So I don't think it's the marketing agency not doing their job or we're poking holes, but it's now giving us a different tool in our toolbox to be able to shine light on, like, what campaigns, what keywords are driving revenue, right? It might not be what drives the lowest cost per click, but now that I have revenue attribution, I can actually figure out exactly what works, and I can use that data to build a stronger strategy. But if you're an agency that's dumping a bunch of money in branded and wasting money, yeah, like, you're going to turn this on and you're going to see a lot of leads come in and no revenue, right? No booked jobs, no paying customers.
And so just for clarification, when somebody hears, dumping money into branded search campaign is if you're searching for your company, right? LeSage Plumbing, you have a keyword that shows up for LeSage Plumbing, your ad then shows up, where the non-branded is obviously not your own search terms, right? Just for clarification point, in case somebody's wondering.
Which, by the way, and I'm curious on your opinion, should you be running a branded search campaign?
I knew this was coming if we brought it up.
Yeah.
The way we would approach it is a small percent, right?
Yes,
I only
exactly.
say that because Google's overall looking at the authority of coming to your website. So if you can bring high quality traffic from a branded campaign that you're usually spending pennies on anyway, it's going to overall lift the authority of your business.
1,000%.
Or your ad campaign, correct?
Yeah. And for the record, I mean, anyone that's listening to this, you can go into a Google Ads campaign and you can see who it is that's bidding on your branded name as a keyword. Yep. So you go and you look at that, and when you see any amount of companies that are bidding on it, that's an indication that you should absolutely be doing a branded campaign, put a max CPC on it, and run with it and see what happens. But at the end of the day, you want to own your brand.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is too, like, you know, you can dump it in branded, you can bid on terms outside of service areas. There's all these little things you can do to make a typical vanity digital marketing report look good, right? We got on site, we got visits are up. It's like, yeah, are they from India or are they from my service area, right? It's gonna make a difference. So that, you know, the details matter.
1,000%. Well, and that's the thing that I love about this, and this is, I mean, ever since we started talking to you guys, our conversations with clients changed, because even when we weren't using your reporting dashboard, our conversations were, how many calls did you take last month? How many book jobs did you get on the calendar? That's what our conversation shifted to, even though we didn't have that direct data of what it is that we're contributing to that. It's at the end of the day, are we hitting our goals? Are we moving the business forward? And that's what all of our conversations shifted towards.
Yeah, the worst thing for an agency is to pull up Google Analytics on a monthly performance review call and come in all excited. You know, I like to say rainbows and unicorns. And the guy on the other end of the phone, the contractor's like, dude, we're falling apart right now. Revenue's down. We're not meeting goals. And you're just like not aligned. And that just is not a partnership, right? So the coolest thing about watching our data take shape is that never happens. Like when we get on, the data tells us if we're hitting goals, if we're falling short, all of this. So when we'll be talking to clients, especially Jon, it's like, hey, we're seeing this. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And then they start like taking it to the next step, right? They're like, I saw that. And that actually happened on Tuesday. And here's what, you know, all of a sudden it's like, we are parallel now. And I like analytics is not designed to always be green and positive, right? Like I always say, like, give me the one off track. That's the person we want to see, because now we can get them on track. We can set measurable goals, 30, 60, 90 days. And until we have that data, we're still running blind, right? Yes. Like we think we're on track. We think everything's good. Talk to a contractor, you know, oh, our business is great over the last 3 years. Yeah, how's marketing? Marketing's great. Well, what part of marketing's working? Marketing's working. Like, well, what part? Marketing, the internet, website, right? It's like, no, man, it's better. There's more to it than that.
Well, I think that's what's fascinating too about the time that we're moving into now, which, I mean, this is something that you guys have been talking about in all of your emails that you've been sending out, is the changes in the marketplace that have happened over the last little while. And, you know, we're talking to contractors like, oh, my marketing company's failing me. I'm like, are they actually? Because the market has shifted. And if you're not aware of that and you're not making realistic changes within your business, data-driven changes within your marketing, then it's going to be really difficult to be able to peel back the data on that and make accurate decisions. So with what it is that you've seen and the changes year over year, looking at this year, what are some of the things that, and I'd love to just open up the floor to you guys, you can take it however you want to, but the things that you are observing right now, this year, the current state of the trades, and what direction do you feel like it's going into?
Yeah, this is perfect for Jon. And quick plug, if anyone's not following his data-driven trades, it's a blog on our website. I think they got a link for you. Jon takes all of our data and talks about like trends we're seeing throughout the entire country, throughout the year, quarter to quarter. So this is right up his alley.
The data-driven-trades.substack.com is what that is. So we'll put that in the show notes for later.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, yeah, the newsletter is totally free. You don't even need to put in your email address to get access to the content. We wanted to democratize it because I think it's so important. But it is really fascinating to look at some of the year-over-year trends. There's a couple parallels. So something that's unique about us is we're looking at both how did the customer discover your business, but also how did they convert on your website? Did they come from a PPC ad and then they converted through online scheduling or a form or a phone call? What are some of the differences there? But what's really, really interesting is that we are seeing more and more revenue convert not through phone calls. So it's about 8 to 10%. When we compare last year to this year, we've seen 8 to 10% more revenue was converted via an online scheduling tool, a chat tool, or a form. So that's a consumer behavior shift. Kevin and I saw this in automotive too. We saw the exact same thing play out. And yes, phone calls still account for about 80% of the lead volume, about 70% of the revenue that's coming in. So if you have a lead handling issue, more likely than not, that's the first place that you want to start. And that's a big piece of this data too, is there's a million things you can do. A lot of the owners, GMs, VPs of marketing is like, Jon, I have 55,000 things I have to do, and I'm under resourced. Tell me the 1, 2, and 3 by priorities. So we look at that. So that's one shift, is you've got customers that are now exploring other options that are more convenient for them to book. But another thing that's been really interesting is, I look at, I think it's ACHRI, or I might be adding a C in there, AHRI, equipment data, where they show the different units of equipment that have been shipped in different months of the year, broken down by heat pump and furnace and AC. And that's really fascinating data to look at, because when I look at the charts, I see a pretty clear trend that about every 15 years, the demand cycles. It's almost freaking equal to the demand of 15 years ago. And we're getting into a really interesting place, because 15 years ago now was the Great Recession and the housing crisis, 2008, 2009. And I did a whole article on this where we saw furnace demand got hit the hardest, the absolute hardest. We had a drop of 20% in demand year over year. And that to me was a little bit of a warning sign of like, okay, COVID did some very interesting things with pent-up demand, people being at home. We do have some other external factors like the rebates, the energy focus, and some of the newer equipment is much more efficient. So we might see faster turnovers in that 15-year period. But this winter, we saw demand decrease, and it depends on how you define it. I define it as that closed revenue piece of it. Some people define it as the lead volume, but on both of those sides, we saw a pretty significant drop going into 2023. We had 3 consecutive months of negative lead volume, dropping by 10, 15, 20%. That's very scary. However, inflation might have helped us here, because we saw average tickets go up about 10%. So that 10% decrease in the lead volume and the paying customers was actually made up for by the 10% higher average ticket. So that ROAS stayed about the same as the prior year, but the customer acquisition costs almost doubled. And then over the summer, I expected it to continue to get a little bit worse. Again, we got a lot of macro stuff happening right now. No one's really buying homes. We have interest rates, inflation, layoffs. There's a lot of things happening. But year over year, in the summer, we saw customer acquisition costs go down. And not only that, we started to see the ROAS go up. So some of these companies were spending less than they were the prior year. So it makes it easier to hit some of the ROAS numbers. So it's not necessarily an apples to apples. But we saw more lead volume. We saw more paying customers. Average tickets did finally come back down in the summer, but the ROAS was pretty strong. And that shocked me. So when I look at this, the customer behavior is changing. They want more convenience. They want better follow-up, better processes, better in-home processes. We can touch on some of the things that we've done with our clients, as tangible examples. That's all happening. But from a demand perspective, it's not a big difference, but it's gone up slightly. And that's why I'm very interested to see what happens this fall. We saw a very big dip in sold revenue in August, which tends to always mean the following month is going to be pretty weak. So this fall and winter should be interesting, but it's held pretty steady and even has gone up a little bit. But just remember, the companies in this space are maturing. It is not as easy as it has been. Like I said, in the summer, we saw a lot more open estimates. And I know of companies that have a very dialed in-home process. They're sending a video out a week before what to expect when you're in your home doing a consultation. They've got brochures of their warranties and their mission statement and how they support you. And there's a lot, more maturity around this stuff that I think is making it more competitive. And I think that's what has people on their heels a little bit. But summer to summer, 2023 was actually slightly better.
Interesting.
Or go ahead.
No, I was more over interesting. And I have one. I mean, we can talk about the future of what you're predicting. I think that's a longer offshoot of a conversation, kind of where I want to go. And then Evan wants to interject. But Jon, you were going to say something?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Kevin, I
I
think it
mixed
was.
you up. Kevin up.
Kevin
Yeah,
was.
yeah. My bad. My bad.
So I want to elaborate on what Jon said right off the bat, because I think it's huge. Is like we're seeing a lot more lead volume and revenue coming from outside the phone calls, right? And when you think of revenue attribution, a lot of times you're thinking of mapping, dynamic number insertion, call tracking, maybe linking email, but we're not thinking about what happens on the website, right? And like a great example too are Facebook customers that click from Facebook ads to the website. You're very rarely going to see them use a phone call, right? They want just a quick, easy, convenient experience. And a lot of customers we're talking to, it's a heavy focus on phone calls, and then chats and forums are so deep. It's like a second discussion. And even like training companies we're talking to now that are looking to our data, they're like, great, this is awesome for phone calls. We're like, guys, are you talking to your customers about forums, talking to them about chats? Because the thing is, like with a chat, and Jon knows more about this than I do, is you can get a chat that says, hey, I need a whole new AC system. And if you don't get to that chat fast enough, you're not going to enter it in the CRM and mark it closed lost. It's just gone. It's going to be marked as a conversion in an agency report, but it's never going to show up on any sort of report at the contractor level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as you're coaching your teams, as sales trainings are out there, like it's time that we start looking past just the phone call, because next year I expect that revenue to increase more from 38% coming from outside the phone calls. Forums, chats, online schedulers, all of that is built around convenience for the shopper, and that wins every single time.
So you're against forcing customers into one mode of communication because that's what you prefer as a company?
I mean, does McDonald's have a drive-through? Right? Different
and Uber Eats?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? You thought the drive-through was convenient until Uber Eats came out, and now I don't have to get off my desk. So convenience will win, and it's not about what's convenient for your process at the business. It's how do I get a wider net of customers contacting my business, and homeowners, younger people are buying homes. It's not that old school way that we're familiar with. Right. And the groups doing really well, HVAC groups doing really well, already know this right now. Right? They're going in, they're not presenting themselves as an HVAC contractor. They're a home solutions expert, right? They put on a whole presentation, and that would sell me too. Right.
Well, it's meeting the consumer where they're at and where they want to, what their modal of communication is, right? Like actually inside our agency, I think the question today, we have a random question that goes, then everybody answers it, was, do you prefer text or phone call? And majority of the individuals inside of our agency were all about text messages, right? And so do you meet your consumers on a text level, or do you meet them on a form level, or do you meet them on a phone call level, right? And soon to be AI, and we can talk about the future. So I do want to get into the future, and I know Evan wants to get into the customer experience too.
Even before that, just to interject really quick, we've long said on this podcast and other things, who are we to dictate how someone receives our content? Well, who are we to dictate how it is that we communicate back to them as well? Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's DMs on social media. You should have a YouTube channel as a business. You should have blogs going out as a business. You should have social posts going out, both static content, which is words, and video. It's necessary as a business today to be able to communicate to people in however it is that they want to receive it.
It's true. Yep.
All right.
It's all good.
If you're just trying to limit the conversion to just phone calls on your website, people are just going to go shop elsewhere because of that.
Right. What about online bookers, like something like a Sarah?
Oh, I mean, I think it's 100%. We see more and more like online or schedule engine, anything like that, right? It's just the convenience. As long as you can set up the tool correctly so that you're not telling people that you have no availability for the next 2 weeks and just shooting yourself in the foot, which we've seen. It's a fantastic tool. Yeah. Again, you want to provide options for different types of people, right? So if I can schedule a tech to come to my house at 2 and hit submit and get a follow-up email that says, we'll see you then, like fantastic.
Yep. Well, it's reducing barriers, right? Reducing friction in the journey.
That's it. Yeah.
So that is one hiccup that I've seen with the online schedulers before, is that, a lot of companies talk about dispatching for profit. And when that demand call comes in where, it's a no heat call on a 15-year-old system, it's a perfect opportunity that we need to go see today. but our online scheduler is completely booked for the day. Whereas if we would have received that call, we would have fit them in. How do you see working around that as a business and as a marketing company?
Do you want to take that, Jon?
Yeah, I mean, I think first things first is being able to have the data to identify that that's happening, but also just the understanding that as things change, there's going to be some friction. Like there's going to be some missed opportunity, and we've got to take it and learn from it, because like you said earlier, I can't dictate customer behavior as much as I would like to. We know that in this industry, it's a very emotional process, and a lot of businesses want at the search engine level, because again, we were in automotive. It's fun to look at the Audi A4's interior and the new features and the videos and all this. Like, it's fun to look at that stuff. But then when it's the middle of winter and it's minus 30 degrees in Burlington, Vermont, and my furnace goes out, like, that's a crisis. That's a safety issue for me and my family. That's a way different experience. So I think that's a big piece of it. It's like, we know that there's going to be some friction. We have to accept that. And then we work at it. We kind of rebuild our processes. We rethink about how we're doing business, and we're not going to be too hard on ourselves if we miss some of that. I don't have a solution there. Like, if they want to book online with Schedule Engine and that's what it is, and there might be some manual processes, or maybe there's a feature that an online scheduling tool is going to build to be able to identify that. But these are the types of decisions in this new world of customer behavior, tools, channels, options to do that. If you don't have a pretty decent data backbone and somebody to either walk you through it or you understand it yourself, you wouldn't even be thinking that way. And as the world continues to shift, that leaked revenue is going to grow more and more.
Yeah, you got to ask yourself too, like, yeah, I get dispatching for profit, but how many customers are you turning away for not putting that tool on your site if that's the decision that's been made?
Right.
There's a lot of cost benefit here, and that's being able to see, because again, we'll break it down by conversion, so we can see how much revenue is converted by an online scheduling tool or a chat tool. If you're bringing in $5,000 a month from the online scheduling tool and the fee is $1,500, and one or two of those jobs were installs, like, and yeah, maybe it is the right decision to take it off the site for now. And we can measure the impact of that, the before and afters. And I think that's what it's the opportunity, I think, for the future. But I also think it's the challenge is we're going to put a lot more decisions on your plate, because no longer, even the search engines, like, now I go to a search engine, I've got local service ads, I've got the Google business profile, I've got the paid ads, I've got the organic. There's more digital real estate that's being cut up. I go on TikTok. Now we're starting to see referrals from TikTok and YouTube. It gets really interesting. It's more and more fragmented. And when that happens with customers' attention, typically you're going to be charged with making a lot more nuanced decisions. And that's where the data really helps to just give you a direction and a priority. Let's see what happens, and we can get 1% better each month.
Right. Well, it's funny. That's something that Gary Vee always talked about, which, Jon, you were a guest on his show, right? That 80-20 principle, right? Of 80% of our focus needs to be on the 20% of marketing that's generating 80% of our results, right? But we still need to be tasting other things. We still need to be testing other things. And that's one of the fun parts about marketing, is constantly testing. It is a never ending test. We had Dennis Yu on the show, and he talks about the dollar a day strategy. And the way I've always looked at it is it's like a March Madness bracket, right? You're just constantly competing two ads against each other to see which one's going to win. And then you start it over again next month and you do it all over again. And it's just a constant, never ending competition to see which one's going to attract the most attention and the best clients for the least amount of cost.
Yeah. And more importantly too, like where we're going, we have is like, what campaign drives the revenue, right? And so like everything you were just talking about is testing. And we can sit here and test all day and, hey, I have a gut-driven decision and, lick my finger and stick it in the wind. But if one ad copy or one keyword is leading to 80% of the revenue, well, then now that we know, I'm going to put everything I can behind that, right? Yep. For this, we didn't really know that. So that is really the key thing here. And we started just very high level looking at, like, is my SEM working, right? And then clients were like, well, I want to know, are they new or existing customers? I want to know my business units. I want to know where this thing just kept snowballing and grew into a platform that can answer exactly what campaign drives revenue, what keyword is driving the revenue, what's my customer acquisition cost on Google PPC versus Google LSA or Bing or Facebook. And 90% of the people we talk to are just like fed up with what not their agency or anything. It's just the reporting, right? Think about one contractor here. They have a website vendor, SEO partner, ad partner, right? And even if it is all under one house, and a lot of times it's still being measured slightly separately. And at the end of the month, they're left with 5 reports that in many cases are causing more confusion than answers. Correct. Right. And then if you add in a group that's got 5 locations and they're on different website providers, different CRMs, different chat tools, like those poor guy, that poor team, right? And we talk to them all the time. So we can just take all that data, and the simplest way to describe what we do is we just match the customer information across all the platforms. So your call tracking, your CRM, your chat tools, all of that, to give you one cohesive report on are your marketing investments leading to paying customers, and track it.
And are you able to track that because you mentioned 2 different areas there. One is, our previous customers, returning customers. But if they came to us from a search campaign where they were not a branded search, they came back to us from just searching AC repair near me. Are we able to map that? So now we can prove not only are we bringing you new business, but we're bringing back business that you would have lost if you weren't running this campaign.
Yeah, we can see back to the search query, right? And then we know if they're a new or existing customer. And we have our own logic for that too. Just so like if you've ran into hurdles with the CRM, for us, our whole system is based on what we call events driven. So like we know a lead comes in at Tuesday at 2. We know a tech submits the estimate at certain dates, right? So it's very simple logic to say Kevin LeSage submitted a lead at Tuesday at 2:00. Did Kevin LeSage exist in the CRM before that lead origination date? If yes, we know he's existing. If no, we know he's new. Right. And then we can track back to see the campaign and the keyword of those shoppers. We don't visualize this in our report now to show you the revenue of existing customers that were searching unbranded keywords, right? That's a great report we could tease out. It's not in there yet. But yeah, that's all the data that we have to be able to back that whole customer journey out.
Amazing.
And then the other key thing here too is you might go to a job and do a $45 filter exchange. But that doesn't mean the revenue ended off of that marketing campaign. While the tech was there, you might have created a new job ID for a $12,000 system install, right? So you want to be able to track the chronological order of events, especially revenue events that are coming in from your marketing, right? So we want to make sure we're not just capping our revenue attribution at the first job created, and there might be multiple right after that one, from tech going in the house, upselling, things like that.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. Random question?
Yep.
All right. Random question. Random question generator, by the way, has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. It's simply random. And of course, it's brought to you by onpurposemedia.ca. Yeah. For when your SEO is more lost than your car keys in the couch cushions, we've got your back. Thank you for that. Our team. If you're wondering, hey, is my marketing actually do you know if your SEO is lost or not? Hit us up on purposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis, and we'll help you find your car keys and your couch cushions. So, Kevin or Jon, that was a new one, by the way. Our readouts change over time, and nothing scripted for that guy. That was our content team putting it in there. I'm like, yeah, I'll read it, and she's like, yeah. Who wants to go first, Kevin or Jon?
Hit me.
All right. You get to choose. There's actually 4 that we lined up. I don't tell you what they are. You get to choose what's behind door number 1, 2, 3, or 4.
4.
If you could have one superpower for the rest of your life, what would it be?
This is gonna sound lame. Well, realistic superpower, not like flying or something. I would love to be able to write code.
That's amazing.
If you learn how to write code, you can create superpowers. Right?
You really can.
Yeah, that's also true.
These people out here today, like AI is a superpower. Like this all starts with code. And I have like too many ideas. I'm always thinking like far ahead. It'd probably be a double-edged sword for me, but if I could start executing on my ideas myself, would be dangerous. But yeah, I think that would be a superpower. Be like a really good software engineer.
That actually is not a bad superpower. I went like straight into like Marvel comic.
I will tell you,
powers,
our CTO, who's a genius, he'll like many times pull up his cat and he pets it like Dr. Evil. So I'm like, maybe he's got superpowers too.
$1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. The other side of the spectrum. Do you want question 1, 2, or 3?
I will go 2.
You go 2. What is your dream destination for a vacation?
Oh man. That's a good one. I don't think about this stuff too much. I'm so obsessed with Searchlight and the data. I'm like, I'll take care of that later on. I saw that someone on Twitter who I really like talked about Bruges would be interesting. Greece. My friends and I from college, I used to live in Vermont. Now I'm down in Raleigh. Before I left and they all started having kids and stuff, we talked about doing the yacht week in Greece together. So if I had the chance to do that, I think that would be my answer. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be
Nice.
weird.
Greece is actually a phenomenal country.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's great. Didn't do a yacht tour, but phenomenal place.
All right, now it's Greece. There we go. That's the answer, and I'm gonna put that down on a sticky note.
I've been wanting us to go through another door. I can tell you had a question.
I've got to ask it. Like, this question is far too good, and you both have to answer it. What is one secret that you never told your mother?
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was number 1, by the way.
Jesus.
She's probably not going to listen to the podcast, so I think you'll be safe there.
Might be surprised. Jeez, I don't even know.
Only Thad's mom listens to the podcast. Just
Yeah.
It's okay. I already told her that it wasn't that I didn't lose my iPod, that it was the hookers who stole it. So we're good there. Vietnam, baby.
I can't even. Now I know why he wanted this question asked, but
Yeah.
That's such a good question.
Yeah, so maybe some run-ins with authority over the years. Let's put it that way.
There you go. I like it. Okay, Jon, you got one?
Man, this is a good one. There's nothing that really comes to mind that stands out. I love my mom. She's awesome. Like I don't have a problem like telling her really anything. You know what? I will say this, and this is gonna. She might actually be watching because it is Facebook. But one of the, when I came over to Searchlight and when we decided to do this, I knew it was going to be a super arduous journey, right? To put a lot of work into this to build a new product. And again, this isn't like the negative direction or like, oh, I did something bad. But one of the things when I kind of jumped into it, one of my hopes, and I never really said this out loud to her. I guess I kept it a secret, and it's too late now. Is I really wanted to grow the business so I could retire her because she had like a year left when when we started Searchlight. She worked as a nurse for 40 years, working overnights, worked more hours than I do. So the work ethic that I had, really brought into this. And because she was like, man, you really want to do this. Like, this is the thing that you want to do. And, it's going to be long nights and weekends. I lived with them for 5 months when I first quit my other job, to really make this happen. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do for her. And I'm not going to have enough time to do that. But in the future, there's going to be something there that I'm going to do. And I know she doesn't expect anything from me because when I live with them, like, she's like, I don't want you to pay me any rent or do anything. Like, we want to see you succeed. So that's a little nugget. That's a little bit behind some of the maybe over the top and intense drive that I have is I'm either going to buy her the red Jaguar she always wanted or pay off her house or do something as we grow the business. So hopefully she's not watching because now she knows. Now it won't be a surprise.
Well, talk about a higher why. Like that's, you Simon Sinek talks about it all the time. What do you do? What you do. A lot of times people are like, oh, I want to chase money. Well, no, that money actually isn't a motivator for the majority of people. Like 97% of people are not motivated by money, but they're motivated by other things that are bigger than themselves. And when you have something that is bigger than yourself, and I ask every business owner, I mean, it's funny on our interviews. That's the third question that we ask. What motivates you? But I ask every business owner, they should ask that question too. Is like, what motivates you? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you running your business? And if the answer is money, it's the wrong answer.
Yeah, I can tell you guys, I spent winters in Connecticut on the job site with my dad cleaning copper fittings, and my dad worked his ass off to put me into college and help me like get where I am today. So I think the coolest thing about what we're doing, like where I'm at, is like giving back to the industry that gave so much to my family. And when people ask me what's the long-term plan, my answer is give contractors what they need to make better marketing decisions so that they're not being taken advantage of. They're not wasting money. Because my dad he took that brown bag lunch to work for 40 years. You know what I mean? Like you respect it. And that's really just like for us, it was just like, we're here because we want to be here. We don't have some outside investment for Searchlight that helped us build this platform. This was like a passion project for a lot of us to do the right thing and try to improve an industry that is old school, right? They just want the simple, they don't want the fluff, just give it to me straight. And I think about like where we are now, like it's a lot of respect for my father and helping us get here, and just a lot of respect for this industry as a whole. We're here for the right reasons.
Love it. And it shows with what you guys are saying. So, all right. Back onto, I guess, the topic at hand. And we kind of touched on customer experience, Evan, unless you wanted to really go deeper on that level. But one of the things that you guys had mentioned was talking about the future. And, it's going to be interesting to see what the fall and the winter has in store, because 2023 summer was actually better than what you thought it was going to be. And I know that predictions can obviously be wrong, but I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are on what you're going to see for the future and what's in store for 2024 from a data-driven look at it.
I think Jon can talk about like forecasting for the industry, and then I can talk about what Searchlight's doing to help us arm our clients and navigate those waters.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what 2024 is going to look like. I know what that 15-year cycle looks like, and there's certainly some dips in demand. I had fully anticipated that going into 2023. I think the early data I have going into this fall, but the weather changed. I mean, we've had heat waves in some areas of the country, and despite the lower sold revenue, like things are good. So the mindset that I have honestly going into this is we don't know what it's going to do, but what we do know is the customer behavior is going to continue to change. And we want to make sure that you're catching the wave as it's forming and not trying to hop on as it's coming back down. Like, we want you to be the early adopter of knowing, oh, wait a minute, TikTok's actually driving revenue now. So maybe I want to shift there before everybody else figures it out. And then when they shift there, I'm going to go back here. It's hard because, again, I fully expected 2023 to be a little bit tougher. I would think 2024 could be, but I mean, shoot, like with the interest rates going up, all this stuff, we thought recession, like just macro wide, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I guess we're resilient. But I think if you continue to knock out the fundamentals, I don't think you're going to have the same COVID level demand. That's for sure. I think we've gotten over those hurdles. But I think if you continue to do the fundamentals over and over again, and you're willing to be objective about your business, like if you're willing to be objective and say, all right, something's not working. Maybe it's not the market, and maybe it's something that we're doing or our partners, we can do better together. I think that's the mindset I'm going into it with. And it's interesting because 6 months ago, I probably would have said, yeah, 2024 is going to be really rough based on what I'm seeing in Q1 of 2023, but it came back around. So I think with the maturity of this industry, some of the tools that are coming out, like even though maybe demand's going to be more challenging, I feel like a lot of the technology and capabilities of our industry are getting that much better, that there's more efficiency, that it might not be felt as much. I mean, I know it's not specific, and I'm kind of, waving a little bit on that, but I just don't know what it looks like, but I'm confident in what these contractors and businesses and, providers and partners are going to be able to do to help make up for it.
Yeah, I think for us, like what we see is a lot of our clients now over the last few years, right? It's been a phenomenal time. But we're like the theme is, how do I do more with less, right? I can't be throwing marketing at everything right now. I need to pull back and figure out what's actually working. And a lot of clients would call us and say, hey, we just cut TV, we just cut radio, but I know my digital marketing with agency XYZ is getting us a 15x return. Like, I'm not turning that off, right? So I think when you look at wrapping up this year, the theme is going to be no lead left behind, like no missed opportunity. We need everything we can get. And the way to do that is through match rates, right? Are these leads getting in the CRM? If they're not getting in the CRM, is it my team that messed it up, or is the ad agency driving in spam from Russia? Just like boil it down to those two things, right? Is it us or is it them? Match rate, paying customer rate, finding the channels with the low customer acquisition cost, high average tickets, like those are the ones you want to invest in. You don't have to spend everywhere, like we have been for the last few years, right? And when you think about where Searchlight's like in the very near future, where we're taking our platform is, you've heard me talk about, we know what your revenue you're getting from SEO, SEM, Facebook, LSA. Now we're getting into campaign and keyword. And our data updates automatically every night at midnight. No one's manually putting anything in. But when we got to the keyword, we're getting the Google Click ID, Microsoft Click ID, Facebook Click ID revenue. What this means is we can now start activating our data. It's not just going to be a measurement tool. I can feed the keywords and the GCLIDs back to your MCC, whether an agency or doing it in-house, and I can inform Google to go get the conversions that are actually leading to that paying customer, right? Because only 25% of your leads turn to paying customers. So why are we telling Google to go get more leads when 75% of that is a waste, or 65% never makes it in the CRM? So the next phase for Searchlight, wrapping up, even in hopefully within the next couple of weeks here, definitely by the end of the year, we're going to get into activation of our data. And through that, we should be able to target the keywords that are driving customers, not just the ones that are driving clicks or conversions, right? Because we might get a conversion on the site, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn into a paying customer. And I think that's like the big theme here is we got to measure what happens after the lead, figure out what's working, and just invest in that. We can always reallocate, we can cancel, we can move around. Just figure out what works first.
Well, this was something that you said, Jon. And by the way, Kevin, that was brilliant. And I 100% agree. Giving that information back to Google so that it can work for us, in addition to us working within it, is incredibly important. But something that you said, Jon, reminded me of conversations that I was having with clients in the spring where they were saying, and let me know if you guys heard this from your clients too, but we need to maximize every call right now because the leads just aren't there.
See, that's the problem right there, though. It's not maximize every call, it's maximize every conversion. That's my point I was making earlier. They're not even thinking forms, chats, and schedule engine. They're thinking calls. Right. 38% of your revenue is coming from outside the phone. So it's like that. We got to change the conversation from maximize every call to maximize every conversion, because the person saying that isn't getting to their chats fast enough. Correct. They're not responding to their leads, right? So if we change that conversation a bit, I think it really will start hitting home as an industry.
Well, and I could be misspoken here, but in terms of clients too, when they're talking about jobs on the board, they're often calling them calls, right? Because we're running a call. So it could be both of those things as well. But I pose the question back to them around okay, well, why are you waiting till now to maximize calls? Why is this your important thing that you're measuring now? Why weren't you doing this when it was busy as well? Because now you're leaving that missed revenue on the table, right? The things we were talking about right at the beginning of the show about missed opportunities and the ROAS potential versus your actualized ROAS, right? Why is it that we're waiting till now? And their average tickets, by the way, in the spring were through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they were so focused on we need to make this call count.
Yep.
You're right.
Why wait?
Yep. Well,
we see that every year.
Yeah, Jon will tell you all of the time when demand's high, the leads are high, right? Tons of leads coming in, and guess what slips? Match rates. We're not carrying as much, right?
Every year.
Leads dry up, and guess what? Everyone's focused on the match rate and maximizing all of the opportunity. So it shouldn't be a even flow with the seasonality. That should be a 365-day-a-year thing.
So how can we as marketing companies best assist our clients to ensuring that they're always delivering the highest quality customer experience throughout the entire process, and that the process doesn't change regardless of lead flow?
I think one of the first things you have to look at is the manual entries being put into your CRM, and more so, which ones are not even being entered.
Right.
Right. Because if they're not even being entered, then executive leadership doesn't even know they exist. And no one's going to put a chat in there in the CRM that they missed for the last 6 hours, right? Just to make themselves look bad and a missed opportunity.
Right.
They all want our booking rate to be 90%. But the reality is, like, no, if you actually, and Jon can tell you a lot more about this, but if you look at all of the leads that are missed altogether, because we have the API direct to the lead source, so nothing's missed. You can't lie. I mean, we just don't miss it, right? So if you get the chat, regardless if you answer it or not, we're going to see the chat. We have it transcribed. I can say, wait a minute, this chat came in. They asked for a brand new AC system. You didn't get to it. The auto response went out, but that was it. What happened? And we're talking to a GM that's like, I didn't know about this. Let me go get the CSR manager. And next thing you know, like, we're uncovering an opportunity. So, I mean, without like pulling up my screen and like showing you, right? Like, it all starts with the data and being able to literally inspect it and sect it by job, by lead source. And with us, we can map all the leads that never went into the CRM, right? So all of these conversions that you paid for that never made it in, this list doesn't exist outside of Searchlight. Now we can click on each one and I have lead details on every single one. Is it someone trying to sell you Girl Scout cookies? That's not on the marketing agency, right? Or is it someone that is a bookable lead and you just missed it? So it starts with data to answer your question, but yeah, to be able to click through and pinpoint exactly where you're getting this customer, if it was something that you missed, because the best businesses still have leaks. We call revenue leaks, right? So it starts with the data. Short answer.
Love it. Jon, did you have anything to add?
I mean, what I like to do is I like to set up the benchmarks. I mean, in this, like a lot of the PEs we work with, we set up benchmarks for their group specifically that they can then key off of, and they can look for who's performing, who has the highest match rate right now. What are they doing differently, and are there best practices that we can adopt? But it's amazing to me because I was saying, like, every April, like January, February, March, you see leads go down, match rate goes up, unsold estimate revenue, it's down because they're just working it. And then around April, it's like mid-April, starts to get warm, those leads go up, and then all of a sudden your benchmarks drop, like your KPIs are dropping. So once you start to set those up year over year, it's like, hey, April of last year, this is where we were at. We're going to set a goal that we're going to do 5% better. Because you can get addicted to those new leads. I mean, everybody would. I mean, we have ourselves too, like Kevin and I, a lot of people interested in this product, and we get really into it. And it's like, wait a minute, we got to make sure that we're practicing what we preach. But knowing the trends of your own business, knowing the tendencies. I'm a big Eagles fan, football fan. Like every week, those teams are studying tendencies. What does the other team tend to do in these situations that we can expose? And if I'm entering a new market, I'm looking at, I know what's going to happen in the summer. I know these companies have a tendency to just move on to the next. So I'm going to really focus on providing a ridiculous customer experience for anybody who gives us a chance to get in the home. But evaluate your own tendencies, evaluate your own, data year over year, set up those benchmarks and work to improve them.
Love it. Well, this has been truly fantastic. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the show. We truly appreciate you. We want to make sure we put all of this out. So if you were interested by any of this conversation, you want to have a further conversation with these gentlemen, reach out to them at searchlightdigital.io. 1,000% you need to subscribe to the blogs and to the newsletters that go out, the data-driventrades.substack.com. Go register for it. Go sign up for it. They don't pound you with marketing emails. It's all data-driven information. Go check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. And of course, you can find them on Facebook as well, facebook.com/searchlight.io. Gentlemen, we got one final question for both of you. And it's our trademark question. So have fun with it.
Who wants to take it first?
I'll take it on the chin first, Jon. So
I know. I'm like, yeah, Kev's got it.
Give me time for the curveball.
All right. What is one question that you wished people would ask you more, but they don't?
The why. Why are you doing this? Why did you make this crazy career shift after you worked so hard to get to that job you had. And that the only reason I say the why behind Searchlight is because I love doing this for the right reasons. Like it started helping friends and family. It's grown from there, obviously, but like we aren't a data. I didn't go to school to be a data and analytics guy. I'm the son of a plumber that like worked his way up and started learning how to talk to data and then understood the impacts of the business. And then we just hired a really good team to write all the code and do all the hard work. But like, if you're looking for that organic team to just help you really understand what's working, what's not, drive a profitable strategy for your business, like we are approaching this for the right reasons. And again, like we don't have outside investors. So like we can do what we want at Searchlight. We're here because we want to be. And I just want contractors to be able to do more with less, not have that wasted ad spend, not, it's not any fault of the agency, but it's just the data can help us. So I like sharing that story because obviously I got a lot of love for Pops and giving back to this industry now.
I love it.
That's a great answer, Kev. I should have went first. I will say when I was a junior in college, I went to the University of Vermont. I took an econometrics class, and there's a professor, Bill Gibson at UVM, was known to be one of the most difficult classes in econ, but like really at the school, and I was very intimidated by it. But I fell in love with it, and the whole idea behind it was teasing out causal relationships between two variables, this, then that. And I actually wrote, speaking of the whiskey and the drinking, I wrote a paper for that class that I gathered the data myself, and we looked at the relationship between drinking alcohol and GPA. And what we found is that the more that you drink, the more classes you miss. For every class that you miss, your GPA would go down by 0.1. So I was able to tease that out. And to this day, because I grew up in the generation of Freakonomics, right? Like that actually became interesting to people. And now to get to live it is great. As you know, as far as questions that I wish people would ask, because that why piece is awesome. I wish that people would ask, what was I thinking and doing before Searchlight? Like what kind of made me think that I wanted to give the entrepreneurial thing a shot? Like why do you think you can do this? Maybe not like why did you start the business, but why did you even think that you even had a shot to do it? Not even in a negative way, just, hey, it's a big jump to put yourself out there to do this, to try to build this brand and, build this product. And the answer to that, it goes back to Gary Vee. And this is anybody listening. I know it's not quite the audience, but it was just interesting to me where Gary, was kind of said, hey, if you're looking to build business skills and you want to try out entrepreneurship at like the lowest risk possible, go to garage sales, buy stuff and sell it on eBay, Facebook, Marketplace, and Mercari. And that's what I did for like before anything with Searchlight. I did that for like a year, and I did it with sports cards, and I loved every second of it, but it absolutely helped me understand attention arbitrage. It helped me understand data because I used to use data to get a competitive advantage. Seasonality with sports cards, where the best time to buy football cards is actually, in the early summer when nobody's thinking about it, like some of those trends. So taking the why answer and instead of like, why did you start, this business? Like, why did you even think that you had the confidence to do this, or what inspired you to do it? Was just taking that baby step of going to garage sales and selling stuff on eBay and figuring out, man, I like this. I'm pretty good at it. It's a micro business. Maybe I can take it a step further in the next thing.
Very interesting. Very good start. I kind of like I thought you were going to go more along the lines of drinking and GPA, and that would explain why I graduated with a solid B-, I guess.
Yeah, don't let Jon start talking about sports cards. He's like,
yeah, I could go on for a while there.
But really, it's a good start, right? I mean, like when you look at entrepreneurship, I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. And there's a lot of, I was talking with our director of operations there. She's like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do some of the decisions that you need to make and that you need to do as a business owner, because I wouldn't be able to have that ability to do that. And like, that's the things that I don't think people necessarily talk about that often is, it's not fucking easy to be an entrepreneur and run a business. In fact, it's extremely difficult. But it's also super rewarding when you have the higher why, which you guys both have. So
right.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Truly appreciate all that is that you're doing. Look forward to working with you much, much more here in the future as we start to integrate you into our reporting as well, and getting all of the data out to clients that will help them see that we're actually doing right by them.
We're waiting for you guys. Tell us when.
Kevin, sorry, had something in my throat there. I think the backlog is him.
1,000% it is.
I
won't even hide it.
We'll chat about that offline, and we'll see what assets you need to be able to get it really plugged in. But appreciate you guys taking some time to sit and chat with us.
Yeah.
And of course, until next time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.